It was stuck on one. Hey everyone!
Welcome to Farm Talk Friday from a vehicle.
Yes, but Ken's driving, so we think this is safe.
Yeah, well, we're at a stoplight right now.
Yes. So this week on the farm, well, we always start with our ad.
Yes.
Ken was in a band called
fantastic...
The Crystal Method. We usually say that too.
That's right. We moved to Costa Rica 10 years ago. We've got a small permaculture farm on the southern tip of the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica.
Which we're not at, obviously, currently.
And Giovanna normally makes a beautiful photo advertisement for Farm Talk Friday. And this week features an incredible action shot. What are you doing?
Farm.
What are you doing there?
Yeah, his trad wife was wearing her bonnet. That was a gift, actually, by someone that we're meeting tonight for dinner in the city. But I was pruning a tree, one of our trees. It happened to be our Mantequilla de Mani tree, or the peanut butter fruit tree. The fruits, when they're ripe, are bright red, kind of like an orangish red, like about like that size. And they taste like peanut butter. So if you're a peanut butter fan, then that tree is for you. It grows pretty fast, for a fruiting tree. Some trees don't fruit for
in 300 meters,
10, 15, 20 years,
take
maybe.
The first exit onto the Circunvalación, Paseo de la Segunda República ramp.
Whoops. Hey, Kristen, we see that you're on. Anyways, so Mantequilla de Mani tree grows pretty fast, I would say. I don't know if it was definitely not one of our first trees. I think we've probably had it between like 5 and 7 years, but it quickly kind of went out of control. Not crazy out of control, but that's part of the reason why I was cutting it, was to, partially to trim so that it wouldn't block our solar panels. But also so that part where I was trimming, it would kind of grow out and keep the fruit lower there. Like I didn't want to just top a large section of the tree. So, it might look a little strange, but that's okay. It's like it will...
Exit the roundabout onto the ramp.
Yay. It'll be, doing its thing up at top, and then hopefully we can access the fruits a little bit easier on the one side that I trimmed. So that was me up in the tree. I was working with Jose this week. Jose is I call him our land manager, and he watches our house when we're gone.
Keep
I have
left
lots
to
of
stay on Circunvalación.
splinters from working outside. Ken says I should try gloves. Pretty sure my friend Rachel
Continue
would
on Circunvalación for 1
agree.
kilometer.
Yay, Farm Talk Friday from the car. Woo! Hey Jane, we see you on. And sometimes we know that other people are on after the fact, and so if we're not calling out your name, I'm so sorry. I just call out who I happen to see in the comments. So maybe I don't even think that's always guaranteed. Sometimes I feel like I see people
meters, keep left to stay on Circunvalación, Paseo de la
comments
Segunda
later,
República.
and I didn't see them. But I think your odds are better if you do say something. I might see you. Anyway, so Mantequilla de Mani tree, or peanut butter tree. I'm thinking that if you have a peanut butter allergy, that the fruit of this tree is not going to trigger that sensitivity. We'll see. Okay, Ken, say something while I look at my notes.
Yes, I've been thinking about...
Continue on Paseo de la Segunda República for 5 kilometers.
I've been thinking about head lettuce. Head lettuce is completely unavailable in Costa Rica as far as we know. And it doesn't have a lot of taste or any nutritional value, but it is a delicious, crunchy lettuce that you miss when you cannot get it. And I was wondering about growing it hydroponically. And so it's not one of my New Year's resolutions, but I do want to investigate it for the possibility of growing it sometime in the future.
Well, are you going to investigate the bees first, or?
No, bees are first, and And growing the yams in the bags also first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then maybe head lettuce after
Yeah.
that. Okay. Okay. So other things, Farm Talk Friday. I know I've mentioned this before, but moon calendars, that's another whole system that we can work off of instead of the 12 solar months, is working with the 13 moons, and a lot of, if not all, I don't know, that might be too big, broad of a statement, but a lot of indigenous cultures were working with moon cycles, and sometimes they were, naming them after things that they might harvest. I'm not saying all of them, but in that spirit, it could be useful to do that. So I've been trying to pay attention. I apparently keep making notes for, what I think some of our moon months should be, and then losing them on my phone. So I need to look at that and try and compile it and see where I'm at. But right now we have mulberries coming in, and they're not all ripe, so I'm not really sure that it's a good harvest. It's like, okay, maybe the mulberry moon for us would be next full moon. And I don't even know, like, are we tracking what's happening on the new moons too? I think like harvest is always like a more of a full moon thing. So anyways, mulberries, I'm undecided. I'll have to tell you by the next full moon if I think that it was this past one. But I think for November, some intel that came in from our neighbor Brian and Phoebe. I think it's more Brian's project though, the coffee. They have 30 coffee plants. So coffee grows on plants, just in case people have never realized that. And it's more of like a shrubby small tree that they can turn into, but they're not big trees. So anyways,
Well,
they don't get super big.
they don't get like redwoods, but they turn into what looks like trees.
Well, how tall?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, yeah, okay, so we'll have to define what we think shrubs and trees are and not get into a big thing about that right now.
Yeah.
But sure, I mean, if something's larger than me, I would probably call it a tree. I don't know where the definitions are for these things. They don't get big. That's my point, is the coffee. So they have 30 of them, and my point is that I think it'll still be manageable for them because they're not like these large things that can go out of control. They stay within arm's reach distance, especially for Brian, who is tall. Okay, so anyways, he said November he made a harvest. So I'm thinking November could be the cafe moon, or the coffee moon. And then maybe December is like the turmeric moon, because the turmeric, the leaves are all starting to fall over, and it's okay. They do this dieback thing every year. And then, yeah.
I think you might get comments that say you look sunburned.
Oh.
But in the
No one is saying that, though.
in the video though.
Yeah, we're okay.
But
It's
it's
just
because the sun is setting.
Yeah. I'm okay. But I am very sensitive to the sun, so it's possible that I will get sunburned, but I'm not currently sunburned. Anyway, working with Jose out, I was telling people earlier, hi Catherine, I see you. I have a bunch of splinters, and that's okay. I'll have to work on that when I get back. Soak my hands, squeeze them out, no big deal. Treat it with, some, anyways, like lavender essential oil or whatever I feel like will be effective in its usage. But, okay, animals. I wanted to talk about animals this week. Something I didn't tell Ken is while I was working with Jose, I showed him something, and maybe it had to do with the mulberries. We were talking about cleaning up the vivero a little bit, and he was like, oh, hey, I need to show you this tree. I think it's dead. And I said, oh, okay, like, show me. And then he, know. I'm like, that one is fine. He's like, no, the one behind it. And it was the balsa tree that's behind our vivero. And I'm not sure that balsas have a really long lifespan. And so maybe this is why people harvest them and use them, because they grow fast and maybe they don't always last so long. And I say this only because we had another balsa die recently that we had planted, you know, about 10 years ago. Its friend right next to it, because we had planted 2 of them together, is still alive, but not doing great. So anyways, whatever. Like, we all have our lifespans, and sometimes they're shorter than we think that they should be. And so I don't want to generalize on balsas, because I really have little knowledge about it, but I'm going to investigate it. But anyway, so I see the balsa and I'm like, yeah, for sure, that tree is looks dead, and maybe we should at least trim that back significantly. You know, I'm sometimes into wanting to give them another chance.
There's a 5-minute congestion.
You never know with
1.5
trees,
kilometers.
like you can
You're still on the best route.
top them heavily, or you know, and they might come back. Maybe that's the boost that they needed. So anyways, we're talking about it, and he steps forward just a little bit more, and he stops talking and says, not to me, oh, and in Spanish, oh, hola, hello. And I step forward and I look, and there, out of a perfect hole, is a woodpecker staring at us. And he was so cute, and he was so the cartoon woodpecker, you know, with his red dew, and he knew that we were talking about his home, and we assured him that we saw him and we were not going to disturb his home at all. So that was adorable, but I've never seen such a beautiful woodpecker hole home.
Reveal, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was so cool, and I can show it. You know, it's not like like a lot of times when we see the woodpeckers, they're eating, or I don't know what they're doing. They're pecking on wood, but they're not on their home.
And I want to say
You get to see their home.
the red feathers or whatever of the woodpeckers in Costa Rica is the brightest red that exists in the world. That's what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, there's that other bird that looks like velvet, black velvet with that red on it. You think the woodpecker redhead is...
I think so. We'd have to do a contest.
Okay. Well, there we have it. We're going to have to do a contest. And then there was an episode this week of Ken and the Pizote. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Ken and the Pizote.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, come on.
What happened?
You don't remember? You versus the Pizote.
Yeah. Where was it?
At the house, trying to go up the tree.
Oh, yeah. Well, it wasn't me versus the Pizote. It was the Pizote versus our papaya tree.
Yeah.
And so we have one of these big squirt guns that you have to fill in our pool, in our swimming pool. And so this Pizote is heading right towards our papaya tree, and then
So we see this guy like walking down the driveway,
Yeah.
and he seemed like he knew what he was doing. And I told Ken, I'm like, hey, I think he's heading directly into the yin yang garden. I don't know, but that he seems like that's what he's up to. I can just sense it. And sure enough,
yeah, sure enough, he was, and he immediately climbed straight up the papaya tree, going for the one remaining papaya we've got left on there. And so I got the squirt gun filled and managed to chase him away, and we all lived happily ever after.
yeah. And look, we're totally willing to share. That's part of the permaculture thing, is that you're planting not just for yourself, but also for your neighbors, which don't have to be human. They can be pizotes or insects or whoever they are. We have lots of them, especially in Costa Rica. But not in our main garden. That we will protect. And so I have no apologies to this pizote. You can go eat plenty of other things around, but you know, that's why we have the papayas in our main garden. is so that we can watch them, because what we noticed over the years is, we plant them in other places and we can't keep track of them, and the birds get them and the pozotes get them. And so I wanted a few papaya trees that we could protect at all times. So not on my watch, not on Ken's watch either. So, hey Kathy, my cousin Kathy, yay. So let's see here. I think that's pretty much all we have left, except that I broke one of our bottles. So we used to drink a lot of wine, Ken and I both, but also like there was more wine consumed at our weekly movie nights. And so very quickly we were able to finish this project of outlining our first food forest pathways with wine bottles. And so they've been there for a while, and this bottle's probably been there for 8 or 9 years. And I sometimes think about that, like, oh, I'll step on them, not on purpose. And I think, wow, one of these could break. And so finally it did. And Jose was with me, and I'm like, oh, we'll deal with that later. And he says, no, I think we should deal with it now. I'm like, oh, okay, good idea. I'm like, I think Ken would probably approve of this message. So he goes, we're like digging it out, and we're trying to be careful with the glass. And I teased him and said, I forget what, he said something with it first, like, oh, what do we do with it? And I'm like, well, let's put it in a bucket. And I'm like, or it's for someone you don't like, haha. And he thought that was really funny. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he thought it was very fun. He started laughing and was like, that's a terrible idea. I said, I know, it's a joke. Okay. Who needs this phone? We have another phone. The people we're meeting know how to get a hold of us.
Well, for this video.
Oh yeah, for our video and for our map. Okay, well, we love you guys. Happy Friday from our car, our electric truck that doesn't make a lot of noise, so we could do our Farm Talk Friday.
See you next week on Farm Talk Friday.
I like doing the hearts, but I can't do it right now. There we go. Half a heart. Okay, we love you. Ciao.